Hi there guys, I hope you're well. If you don't know who I am, my name is Thomas Blakemore and I'm a primary school teacher. I've been a primary school teacher for 5 years, and as part of the process of being a primary school teacher or training to be a primary school teacher, I've been through many different application forms, writing CVs, personal statements and interviews to help me secure previous teaching jobs. Now, I started off by doing my first year and second year in the UK as a primary school teacher, and then moved to Dubai, where I am still currently teaching. Now, some of you out there will already know that I've recently written a guide to support people with getting a job out here in Dubai. Now, I recently received a question which asked, well, Thomas, is the guide only really for people who are looking to get a job in Dubai? And it made me think, well, yes, it is. However, there's lots of different advice within that guide that would be supportive. Now, I really found that it was something that I found quite difficult finding my first job, because you have so many other things to think about, and then you suddenly throw this other thing in the works where you've got to suddenly think about doing an application, interviews, and all these different things, when really you just want to be focusing on passing your PGCE or your final year of trainee teacher training. Now, as a result of that and the question that I had previously, I decided that it would be really beneficial to take some of the key parts out of the Dubai guide, take those out and amalgamate them with lots of different advice, research, and also personal experience into an absolute beast of a guide that will support people with securing their first teach job. It's this that you can see in the background. I'm so proud of it that I decided it would be a great idea to print it off. It is my ECT, Early Career Teachers, as it's now going to be called for come the next year, / NQT as it's currently known, guide to helping you secure your first teacher job. Now, what I wanted to do within this video is talk through the process of getting your first job. And to be fair, the process of getting your first teacher job doesn't just start with the interview. There's many other little things that you need to think about before you go to that interview. And although there's lots of support to help with that process, as we'll see in a second, I wanted to start at the very bare bones, the very basics. So I thought from here, we'll look into the contents and then hopefully give you some sort of support. From there, you might be able to go on to my website, which is in the corner, teachtraveltriumph.com, to check out that NQT, ECT. It's going to take me a while to get used to saying that guide, and that will be available to support you. I'm also going to break down many of the different tips within this guide in future videos. So if you're new to my channel, feel free to subscribe to it. I'm hoping to try and make as much of this advice in here available as possible, but if you just want it to be there instantly, it's on my website. So starting off then, we have where to start. Now, it can be quite daunting where to start when you start to look at getting your first teaching job. Now, you can obviously apply to schools directly. That's often great, but it's hard to see where the jobs are. Many different towns and cities now have their own website where they advertise jobs. It's cheaper than going through some of the major advertisers that we'll speak about in a second, such as TESS. TESS is a really strong one that you can look at for a range of different jobs throughout the country. But for those specialised ones in the location where you are, for example, Greater Manchester, you're going to find lots of jobs from different areas like Trafford. And I'm not from Manchester, so I can't tell you. Ashton, maybe? Yeah, we'll go with that. From there then, we've got what makes a good school. When you're looking at a school, it's extremely subjective, because what matters to me will not and might not matter to you. So it might be that I prefer a school that has lots of extracurricular activities and sporting opportunities so that I can really support children through that. Other people might be more inclined towards schools that are perhaps more artistic. You also have some schools that are really keen on having a bright and colourful learning environment, whereas you will also have those schools that have more of a natural theme going on within their school. So it completely depends on what your focus is when looking at schools and what's important to you. So make sure you have a think about that. It's got a range of different things that you might want to think about. It also talks about what types of schools there are. You've got things like trust schools, free schools, you've got obviously Catholic schools, all different types of schools that you'll need to consider when looking at jobs to make sure that you choose the right one for you. From there, you don't then look at the application. You will look obviously at what they need, but you might want to just go and have a look at the school, and it's always highly advised to go and look at the school so that you get a better understanding of what the school is about. During that process, you can then start to ask a range of different questions as you're going around, and I've given you a range of different ideas of questions that you might want to ask. What opportunities are there for extracurricular activities for the children, and things like how are TAs designated? Within that section, we also talk through how to make a lasting impression as you're going through that walkthrough, with a range of different tips to support you. So then we start to look at the application process. As the application forms can be quite lengthy and daunting, I give you a range of tips to support you with those. Now, From there, we start to look at things like the CV, the cover letter, and the personal statement. When looking at the CV, I've given you a template that can really help you see, right, how another teacher has structured them. But it's not just me, it's also my partner, how other teachers have structured their CVs in the past. And then from there, looking at cover letters. Now, obviously, there's cover letters and personal statements, which again can be quite confusing. A cover letter is specifically catered to the school and how you suit the school and how you can amplify their goals, whereas a personal statement, it's all about you and how you have developed into a fantastic, potentially outstanding teacher. So make that personal statement really stand out through a range of different templates that I've integrated, along with lots of other tips as you structure those personal statements and cover letters. Now, I have lots of different tips for interviews based on my experience, based on my research and other advice that I have received in the past. Things like the STARD strategy, things like the 6-story secret, things that I will break down in other videos. That's really important for me to share. I really want to get into those in future videos. From there, I've broken down an absolute plethora of different interview questions that you may be asked in interview. It was amazing when I received some feedback from other people who bought the Dubai guide, who actually said that, Thomas, you know, the interview questions that you had on that guide, which are now in this one, were asked word for word in their interview. So I was blown away by that, but there's obviously some really quality questions within this guide. And again, I want to break down those different interview questions you might be asked in future videos. So then from there, I also talk through a range of different tips to support with interviews, obviously because it's one of the most important steps, and some of the other activities that you might be challenged with. So at the end of the day, we then start to talk about resilience and a bit of a conclusion, but now it's down to you. Hopefully the guide sounds fantastic and it's something that you might want to consider in the future. If you do, feel free to check out the link within my description, or it's just there, teachtraveltriumph.com, and then you can check that one out. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one, and remember, I'll be creating other videos to support with interview in the future, so check those out on my channel. If you feel like liking the video, that's always helpful, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Until then, I'm out.